Hey, what's going on? It's your main man, Rick the Dawn. And on this episode, we're going to take a look forward, take a look at Sunday, and see if we can kind of figure out what to expect and what might be coming our way. We just got through and we just watched an amazing episode, Thursday's eviction, in which Ameerah goes home. And can I just please take a moment to just voice my pleasure and my happiness to have a player like Turner in the game right now who has done what other players have failed to do, which is just do the right thing. We know that this is a game, and you can't really put a lot of emotion into the game, and you have to keep all that stuff separate. But Turner did something that my wife and I we looked at, and we just like, wow, this is a young guy who's doing what a lot of other players in the house, some well mature, very old, still not willing to take that risk in the game. Sometimes you have to put humanity first. And some of the things that we were seeing over the last couple of weeks, for Turner to take the stand and just jump out and say what he said. And if I'm not mistaken, he just said, hey, I'm seeing the bullying that's taking place. I'm seeing how everybody's treating Taylor. Some of you have said some things to me in private that I just don't gel with. And even though I'm the youngest in the house, this had to be done. I mean, Turner is the king of Big Brother for me right now. I am extremely happy with this gameplay. If you haven't done so, go watch my prior episode, my recap of episode 10. But right now, we're going to look forward to episode 11, which will take place on Sunday at 8 o'clock. You better believe we will be sitting down watching the TV. As you're watching, just know I'm watching right there with you. I can't wait to see it. Now, Thursday's episode ends with the HOH competition, which is inspired by The Invitation, which is a new movie that's coming out. I actually know about this movie because I went to go see Nope by Jordan Peele, and The Invitation was one of the trailers that came on before the movie came on. And if I'm not mistaken, this movie is about vampires. They invite some beautiful woman to a wedding, and the woman finds out that she's a part of the wedding. A lot of suspense. But as far as the Big Brother competition, within the game, within the HOH competition, it appears to be envelopes falling from the sky, and then the contestants have to look through these envelopes and find the invitation. It's going to be read, according to Julie, right? So when the episode goes off, we only see that Jasmine has won an invitation, right? I believe this is another two-part HOH. And if I'm not mistaken, also, this could be a new dynamic that Big Brother is inviting in a game where you have these two-part HOHs. And if history is any indication, then Jasmine right now is looking pretty good because the last two-part HOH, she won, right? Yeah, that's about how it went. She won the obstacle course, and then she won the pie eating contest. And I will admit something. I don't do live feeds because it gives out spoilers, but I will admit that I have been looking around to figure out who won because, that would have, helped me direct my thoughts and how I want to approach this particular episode. But I have not been able to find anything. And what I'm really wondering is, are they also going to do a two-part HOH within the house itself? Not just for viewing purposes, but within the house, where they'll do part one on Thursday, and perhaps tomorrow they will actually finish the HOH competition. So it's really tight-lipped, and I'm gonna be honest, in the internet age, I'm very surprised about that. But it doesn't stop me from speculating. All right, so let's do that. You have an amazing alliance in the leftovers, and if that side of the house gains power, I believe that Daniel and Nicole are in trouble. And I can see, especially if the leftovers alliance keeps things under wraps, I can see Nicole going to whoever wins the HOH and saying, wait, hey, put me on the block. She's probably still thinking that the house is, as normal. And we can see that when we saw her hugging Turner at the end of episode 10. So to me, that indicates that Nicole still feels that the house is strongly against Taylor. So whoever wins the HOH, if not for Nicole, I can see Nicole going up to that HOH and saying, hey, put me on the block with Taylor. Basically a pooch part 2, because she doesn't quite know that Taylor is now firmly aligned with some strong players. Can we just quickly talk about the leftovers? This dynamic here, this crew here, this alliance here is just so amazing. I can't remember in recent memory where we've had an alliance this strong. Usually alliances are top heavy, but that is not the case here. We're talking about a super team. This might be the first time I've ever used that term. And I told you in my last episode, we are in a new era of Big Brother where you have multiple real alliances. A lot of times, one player, if they're in one alliance already, they'll hop to a new alliance and shed the last one. But in this case, Host Pack, the Girls Alliance, those alliances are still, being brought up. They're still real. And you still have this leftover alliance right on top of those two, thriving. And, I've never used this term before, but this is a super alliance. Think about it. Michael by himself could take out the entire house. Can we just get that out the way? What he's won, like 80%, if not 100% of the veto competitions. He's starting to look like Janelle. You know what I mean? So Michael by himself is a wrecking ball for the Big Brother house. But wait a minute. We're not going to stop there. Let's align Michael with Turner, this courageous young guy who plays an amazing social game. He fits in with just about everybody. But wait a minute, we're not done there. Let's put Kyle and Monty, two of the most well-rounded players in Big Brother right now. Let's also add those two to the dynamic. And wait a minute, if that's not enough, let's go ahead and add Joseph, this huge specimen of a male in terms of just physique. Let's add him onto the dynamic as well. Oh wait, that's not enough. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and take arguably the strongest woman in the house, Taylor, and add her to the group as well, because now your group crosses over and can control different parts of the house, male and female. Wait a minute. And then you have Brittany, who's strongly aligned with the girls. They seem to still be talking game with her. So that means she's a social threat. This is a super alliance. And if they can get through some of these, tricky parts, Big Brother throws a lot of, secret things and they try to mix the game up. If they can survive all that, this alliance is poised to go to the very end. So if the leftovers win this HOH, to me, I think the smart and more logical move is Nicole and Daniel, I should say. If you go Nicole, you can easily, Nicole seems to be very gullible in this way in which they can say, hey, Nicole, our target is Taylor. We're going to put you on the block. And I believe that Nicole would go for it, hook, line, and sinker. And then you have an amazing backup plan, which is Daniel. This is just, can we just, who's going to beat the leftovers alliance? Who's going to beat, who's going to beat 7 powerhouses? And I say that very, not powerhouse, you know what I mean? But at least 3 powerhouses live within this alliance. Who's doing that? And even if you do pull it off, if the other side of the house wins, who is going to vote whoever the target might be out? This is just unfair. And I think, again, this is a new era of Big Brother. Just like the cookout was revolutionary, the leftovers are as well, because what it's going to do is it's going to force future players to always consider the players that are getting mistreated, being bullied, and those players that are not at the very top of the totem pole. They're going to start paying attention, like, wait a minute, who's not being, catered to? Who's disliked within the house? Because we don't want another leftovers. The leftovers just might be, we thought the cookout was bad. The leftovers actually make the cookout look very, very simple. Because if you think about it, besides Xavier and Tiffany, the cookout was pretty weak. You had the guy, I forget his name. I'm sorry, I forget his name. He was a great social player. You have Enza. Enza was awesome. She didn't really win much. So that's my point. You have, I think his name was Kyle. He was kind of an all-around player. But Xavier and Tiffany were the cream of the crop for the cookout. Outside of them, it drops a little bit for me personally. And that's no disrespect. I think they all deserve their roses. But this is something completely different. Michael, Kyle, and wait, did I forget? Though it is a 7-person alliance, they also have Terrence as a +1. You just can't make this up. Terrence is not a official piece of the leftovers alliance. I'm not even sure that Terrence knows that the leftovers exist. So this is how well they're playing. I really think it's going to boil down to which side of the house wins it. And if I might be honest, I really don't think it matters because they have such a strong alliance. That means they're going to be a problem. The veto will have to go through the leftovers. And not only that, you have a situation in which they have the majority of the house. So no matter who wins it, the vote will go through the leftovers. This is just perfect play. And if I might say so, here are my picks to actually win this HOH. Now, they do this thing called editing with Big Brother, and they emphasize or focus on particular things. And over the years, I've learned to pay attention to who they're focusing on, because that's pretty much what's going to happen, or that's who's a focal point within the game itself. I noticed a lot of camera time going to Monty, a lot of camera time going to Jasmine. So if I had to guess, one of those two will have something to say about this particular competition. Now, granted, it was a live competition. Still, I noticed these type of things. So obviously, my first pick to win it all will be Michael, because you never go against Michaels. You never bet against Michaels, whether it be Michael Jordan, Michael Tyson, Michael Phelps, Michael Jackson, Michael Vick. You just don't bet against Michaels. They're usually super gifted and super talented. That's just my little theory here. So I'm going to go Michael 1. I'm going to go Jasmine 2. And number 3, I'm going to go Monty. Now, I could be wrong. So if you see the live feeds and you see I'm wrong, it's fine. I'm going into this thing without peeking at the cheat sheet. So you have to respect that. Can we just get this out the way? I do not want another Jasmine week. For me, Jasmine is a player who is a glorified floater, which means she's not the typical floater. But within this new era of Big Brother, she kind of seems like a floater 2.0. And by that, I mean she kind of just goes with the house, even though she's the HOH. Generally, the HOH is who dictates the week. However, under Jasmine's reign, she seems to allow the people around her to dictate her way. Now, that could be due to injury, because when you're injured, you're not thinking about, whatever. You don't want to make these big splashes because you can't really defend yourself in the veto. But I don't want another Jasmine week. She seems compromised in terms of the fainting that happened last episode of the ankle. So I think she just needs to take it easy. Now the good thing about Jasmine is she's a strong competitor. I'll give her that now. I'll give her that because she's the first player to get her invitation. So I'll give her that. And also, she doesn't really have a lot of enemies. She's on the wrong side of the house now, but she doesn't appear to have a lot of enemies. So I'll give her that. But I don't want another Jasmine week. It would be beautiful to get a Taylor week, but I didn't see a lot of emphasis on her within the competition. I just don't see it being possible. But again, my 3 picks are Jasmine, Monty, Michael. That's who I'm picking to be HOH. And we will find out on Sunday at 8 o'clock which of these players actually is the HOH. And following that episode, I'll be right here giving you my insight, my recap, my thoughts. And then I'll also look ahead to the following episode, which will take place next Wednesday. So, hey, we got time. Thank you all for checking this out. If you could, please like the video, especially if you enjoy the content. It definitely helps. And I will see you on the next one, Sunday, 8 o'clock. Well, more like 9:05. Peace.